Hi. So today's video is brought to you by my bisexual friendly romantic suspense, Dying for the Rose. I'll talk more about it at the end of the video. Until then, let's talk about coming out. I get a lot of emails and there's a lot of comments in the section below about teenagers coming out. So I thought, it's time for me to do a how to come out video specifically for teenagers because it's different than if you're an adult. And there's a lot of people out there saying that there's no wrong way of coming out. There is absolutely a wrong way of coming out because the goal of coming out is to make yourself feel freer, to feel less burdened. And there's ways of coming out that makes you feel more fearful and feel more burdened and more scared about life and about what things are going to happen. There's absolutely a way of doing it wrong. So this video is going to talk to you about the right way to come out. So what are the steps for that? Well, the first step on coming out correctly is to find the best person to come out to. Your instinct might be to say, let's say, come out to the most important person to you. So it might be like a best friend or your parents, or you might think, oh, I should go to an LGBT center and go there. Ooh, boy, that last one is such a mistake. That is like one of the last places you go. And although your best friend or your parents might be the person who might be the most accepting to this, they might not necessarily be. So you find a list or you create a list of the people around you who might be the most accepting, whether it's because maybe they have people who are friends that are, bisexual or other than straight, or they just seem very open-minded, or they just always been very embracing about other people, about things that are different from themselves, whatever it is. If you don't have someone like that in your family or your friends, I highly suggest a guidance counselor. Like if you're in a very conservative state or a very conservative city, the guidance counselor in your high school is a person who is paid to be compassionate towards you. And odds are, unlike your other teachers, odds are the person went into being a guidance counselor because they generally want to help you and because they're generally open-minded about stuff. So if you have no one else to come out to, I highly suggest them, a guidance counselor. But hopefully you have like someone who you have an interpersonal relationship with, aunt, uncle, something like that. So you make a list of everyone from the most accepting to the least accepting, and you work down that list in order to find acceptance. Now, why is it that you decide to work in this order? It's because the purpose of coming out is to gain a sense of freedom and acceptance and all that stuff about yourself. And each time you come out to someone, you gain a little bit of confidence and a little bit of experience. The very first time you come out, you're going to be worried that when you come out, your head is going to explode, or that your world is going to fall apart, or that everything about you is going to change, and everyone's going to change the way they think about you, and all these crazy things. But if you start with the person who's going to be most accepting, you'll see that person nothing will change at all. Like they'll probably embrace you. They'll probably like be very happy that you came out to them, and all these very positive things. That will give you confidence, and that will give you the experience of like how it actually happened. Like what did you say? How did they respond? And all this information will give you more confidence for the next person you come out to. So you just go down your list one by one until eventually all the people in your life that are important to you know. Now it goes past that because let's say you have your list and you decide that you're going to tell that first person, well, what do you say? Yes, there's things that you can say that will create more positive responses than others. So I recommend that you start out when you've decided to tell this person you're sitting in the same room, you start out by saying to them, I'm nervous about telling you this. Now, why do you do this? It's because human nature is very specific. Like, compassionate people respond very clear ways to triggers. When a compassionate person hears that you are nervous, their instinct is to make you feel less nervous, like maybe hold your hand or put their arm around you or just give you like a really kind of empathetic look. And that's what you want. You want to, be in the space of someone who's going to be open and accepting of who you are. So you show them your vulnerability, and they will give you confidence in return. So you start out by saying, I am nervous about telling you this, and then you say, I am bisexual. Now, I'm saying use those words specifically because if you don't, if you were to say something like, let's say that you were a girl and you were to say, I might like other girls as well. There are a couple of things in there that could lead the conversation off in the wrong direction. You saying might, like you're not sure, can often be a trigger in the other person to try and convince you one way or the other. Like they think this conversation's about them helping you to either be straight or gay. That's the possibility. Like that could possibly happen. And that's what happens when you use words like probably or might or could be or all these kind of like words that make you seem like you're not sure about the thing. And also when you say something like, you know, I might like girls as well, you're opening up the door that they might try and then convince you maybe you're gay. Maybe, you know, maybe this is just a stepping stone from you, you know, from being whatever they thought you were to being gay, in which case they might take the direction of the conversation off in that wrong way as well. So by simply saying the words, I am bisexual, it changes the conversation from being a debate about what you are into, no, look, this is me asking you for acceptance. And if they are, you know, the most accepting person on your list, and if you've started out by saying, I am nervous, odds are the response will simply be, I love you, no matter what you are, or any of those really positive things. Or if it's guidance counselor, you know, that's perfectly acceptable, that's perfectly fine, and just all the positive things that you want that will give you the confidence to go on to the next person that you speak to. And this is the right way to come out. Because, again, the goal is, at the end of the process, however long the process is, whether it's just a year or whether it's like 5 years, the end of the process is for you to be a confident, secure bisexual. And if you've ever met like some 20-something-year-old bisexuals or 30-something-year-olds or even 40-something-year-olds and they're barely coming out and they still feel all this insecurity about it, it's either because they haven't come out at all or it's because they came out wrong. So this is the information on how to come out correctly. But I want to say more than that, because a lot of challenges that I've seen that teenagers have in coming out is actually in coming out to their parents. So I want to talk about that. And again, do not come out to your parents until you've reached everyone else who will be more accepting than your parents, and the last or the next person on your list is one of your parents. And that is the time to come out, not before, but at that point, because by that point, you've already gained some confidence about who you are, so that, you know, like if someone says a pushback, they say that, you know, maybe you're not, you already have the confidence of saying, no, you know what, no, I spoke to this person, I know that I am, and I feel good about this, and you're just a different person when talking to them. But now, when talking to your parents, there are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind in order to have a more positive experience than a negative experience. And one of those things is, and I imagine that you might not want to hear this, but the truth is that your parents know more than you. It's true. And simple evidence, however old you are, you know, if let's say you're 15, you clearly know more than you did when you were 10, right? I mean, you know like twice as much probably as when you were 10. That's because of life experience. You gained a ton of life experience during the time since you were 10, and that means a lot. That helps you to live life more knowledgeable and stuff like that. Your parents are probably at least 15 years older than you, probably more like 20 or 25. That means that they have a ton more life experience than you. And this is just reality. They have more life experiences than you, and that's why they think that they know what they're talking about when they talk to you. But here's the thing. Having life experience is both a positive, but it also can be a negative, because if you get the wrong impression about something, that means that you are now reinforcing all those incorrect impressions. And when it comes to bisexuality, odds are that your parents grew up in a different generation. Just 15 years ago, bisexuality was this thing that you only heard about when gay people call themselves bisexual before calling themselves gay. It's a travesty that the gay community has done to bisexuality, but that's the reality of it. This is probably the world that your parents grew up in. So whenever they hear bisexual, their life experience tells them that it's someone who is gay that is actually just using the term until later on they're going to decide that there's something else. It's a stepping stone. So you have to go in armed with certain knowledge to combat that piece of ignorance that your parents has. And it's just a little piece of incorrect information, and you have to kind of teach them what the right information is, which is why you gain confidence by telling other people first before you tell your parents. So what piece of information should you go in with that will help you deal with this sort of reaction? First of all, it's knowing the definition of bisexuality, because odds are your parents are working on an incorrect definition of bisexuality, and it's up to you to educate them on what bisexuality actually is. So bisexuality, and this is the accepted definition of bisexuality, bisexuality is the ability to be either romantic or sexually attracted to more than one gender. It is the ability, it's the capability, you have to, it's just the ability to do that. And it doesn't matter how much you're attracted to each gender, and it doesn't matter like at the same time or different times, it doesn't matter. So you could have like a small attraction to the same sex and a large attraction to the opposite sex, but the fact that you have the ability to be attracted to that same sex at all means that you're bisexual. So going in armed with that information, that's step one, so that when they say that, you know, oh, you're too young to know what you are, you could have this in the back of mind saying, no, actually, I know what it actually means, and I know it is the fact. Now, that is a phrase that I have heard multiple times from in emails and comments, people saying that their parents think that they're not old enough to know what they are. Well, there's a great response to this that really pushes through that particular question. And this is true for coming out, and it's true for all of life. If you want to convince someone of something, the best way you could possibly do it is to have the other person understand your experience through their eyes. So what that means is that if a person can identify with a similar problem, they're more likely to be empathetic towards it. So if your parent says to you, well, you're too young to know what you are, ask them, did they know that they were straight at your age? So let's say that you're 15, right? And you said to your father that you were bisexual, and he says you're too young to know what you are. Say to your father, when you were 15, did you know that you were straight? There's going to be one or two responses to that. First response will be, yes, I did. And you'll go, and if a guy approached you, could they convince you that you were gay? And he'd probably say, no, they could not. And in which case you could say, that's the same way that I know that I'm bisexual, and nothing anyone can say can convince me otherwise, because I know how I feel on the inside. There is no response to that, because they understand that they couldn't be convinced of another sexual orientation. So they're now thinking of it from your perspective, like, oh, if they couldn't be convinced, maybe the same thing is true for you. The other response to that question, when you say, when you were 15, did you know that you were straight? They could say, no. In which case, the conversation just got a ton more interesting. Because here's the thing. There is a genetic component to one's sexual orientation. And if you're bisexual, it increases the chances that your parent was also bisexual. But because they don't know the definition of bisexual, they just assumed, oh, they were just going through a phase, and now they're straight or gay or whatever else. But that phase is actually them embracing their bisexuality for that short time before locking out any thoughts as they moved forward, or just falling in love with someone and then they can't see anyone past the gender of the person that they're with. So if they then say, no, they don't know, odds are you are talking to a fellow bisexual, and it's going to be iffy, because your parent has locked in their head that they are this straight person. But in actuality, you know, you could then tell them what the definition of bisexual is and emphasize the fact it's the ability. And then probably in the long term, you and that parent are going to have a really wonderful relationship where you guys can both understand each other. So yeah, so that is that's the best way to kind of approach your parents about your bisexuality. I hope it helps. When coming out, one of the first things you might want to do is like come out online, because you know there's a good chance of just kind of seeing what will happen without any repercussions. I recommend coming out in the comment section of my channel. I make sure that there are only positive things said in the channel, so this is a very safe, secure place. If you just want to, dip your toes into the idea of coming out, feel free to come out in the comment section of any of my videos. There are a lot of other bisexuals who watch these videos, and you'll probably get a lot of support. So that's the video. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up. And also, if you'd like to support the channel, check out my book, Dying for the Rose. It's a bisexual-friendly romantic suspense. And here is what the back of the book says. No guy goes on a TV show similar to The Bachelorette expecting to find love, least of all a man like Ford Stone. Though ruggedly handsome and roguishly charming, a tragic loss closed his heart. But when competing against 15 other guys in a romantic tropical setting for the love of the gorgeous Bachelorette, Rose Caitlin, well, anything could happen. At least, that's what the show's producer must have thought when they made Ford a contestant. But Ford isn't the type of guy to just play along. He has his own plan, which is to stand in the back, poke fun of the love-struck fools, then get eliminated after a week. And he would have done exactly that if he hadn't stumbled across two things: an eliminated contestant's dead body and the show's chilling twist. Can Ford survive the death-defying group dates and the insane contestants long enough to win over Rose? Can Ford uncover Rose's haunting secret? With 15 other guys vying for Rose's love, does Ford even have a chance at love with Rose? With death at every turn, time is running out fast. So that is Dying for the Rose. It's a good read. It's fun, it's funny, and I promise you you'll like it. And again, bisexual friendly. You read this book and you feel better about being bisexual in the end. But yeah, please check it out. A link to it is in the description below. Or you can check out my t-shirts at Teespring. Or you can just give the video a thumbs up. I do many videos on bisexual topic, but I don't do it on a regular basis. But I do them frequently. So if you want to know when a new video comes up, you have to subscribe. And then there's a little bell next to the subscription button. You click on that bell and YouTube will let you know when a new video comes out. Till next video, stay cooler, my bisexual friend. Stay cooler. And check out Dying for the Rose. It's a fun read. Bye.